Tatarstan authorities have reduced the one-time regional payment for signing a contract with the Ministry of Defense by almost sevenfold. Now, instead of the previous 2.7 million rubles, new recruits are entitled to only 400,000 rubles, according to updated data on the Republic's Military Registration and Enlistment Office website, which Astra reported. There has been no official announcement from the regional authorities about reducing payments. The latest archived version of the Military Registration and Enlistment Office website, dated August the 27th, still shows the old amount. However, in early August, payments were actually increased from 2.1 million to 2.7 million rubles, the third increase since the beginning of the year. This situation is met with discontent in Tatarstan. Tatarstan isn't the first region to reduce payments. In the spring, authorities of the Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug made a similar decision, reducing the one-time payment from 3.1 million to 1.9 million rubles, effective April the 15th. Last year, Russian regions, including the annexed Crimea and Sevastopol, actively increased their payment amounts. Samara Oblast set a record, offering 3.6 million rubles. In early 2025, authorities in Mariel from 1.4 million to 1.8 million rubles. Chuvashia from 1 million to 1.4 million. Bashkortostan from 505,000 to 1.6 million. Smolensk Oblast from 1 million to 1.2 million. Kaluga Oblast from 800,000 to 2 million. And Primorsk Krai from 800,000 to 1 million rubles, also increased payments. According to estimates from the analytical project Russia, in the first half of 2025 alone, federal and regional authorities spent over 2 trillion rubles on recruiting new contract soldiers and supporting active military personnel. Of this, approximately 400 billion rubles went toward contract signing bonuses. 865 billion rubles went toward pay, and another 765 billion rubles went toward compensation for the families of the dead and wounded. Despite the colossal sums, the number of people willing to sign contracts is declining. According to calculations by Important Stories based on an analysis of budget expenditures, only 37,900 people signed contracts with the Ministry of Defense from April to June 2025, the lowest figure in the past 2 years. By comparison, in the second quarter of 2024, this figure was 92,800, a 2.5-fold increase. In the first half of 2025, 127,500 people received contract signing payments, compared to 166,200 in the same period the previous year. At the same time, what is happening in Russian regions is also considered a sign of protest against the war policy of the Putin government. The decrease in funds provided by the Ministry of Defense is further increasing dissatisfaction in the regions.
The Vatican on Thursday released Pope Leo XIV new. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu convened his security cabinet late Thursday to approve a pause in the devastating 2-year war with Hamas, ahead of a government meeting to approve the release of Palestinian prisoners. According to Associated Press, under the plan proposed by U.S. President Donald Trump, Hamas will release all 20 living hostages in the coming days in exchange for Palestinian prisoners, while the Israeli military will begin a withdrawal from the majority of Gaza. Uncertainty remains about some of the thornier aspects of the plan to pause fighting, such as whether and how Hamas will disarm, and who will govern Gaza. Both the ceasefire deal and the release of prisoners are expected to pass with wide margins, even if far-right ministers vote against it. Israeli Minister of Settlements and National Mission Orit Strak said that her government outsourced the removal of the threat, handed it over to foreign forces, not to our security forces. I have no confidence in these forces, she added. After the approval, Israel will publish a list of the prisoners expected to be released. Victims of attacks carried out by the prisoners will have 24 hours to petition the Israeli Supreme Court to halt the releases if they object. Although petitions are expected, the Supreme Court has never intervened to halt a prisoner release in previous deals. Meanwhile, thousands of people have streamed into a square in Tel Aviv that has turned into the epicenter of the movement to bring home the hostages. Many sang and danced as they waved Israeli and American flags. The celebrations appeared more muted than previous public reactions to ceasefires, reflecting the despair that has settled over the country as the war ground on for 2 years.
אני כאן בהתרגשות מלאה לקראת ההצבעה כל כך חשובה שתוביל בסופו של דבר להחזרת כל החטופים שלנו הביתה. בהזדמנות הזאת להודות לראש הממשלה נתניהו ולנשיא טראמפ ולשר רון דרמר, עבודת קודש ממש של הפעילות שתוביל בסופו של יום לשלב הראשון שיוביל למטרה הראשונה של המלחמה במלואה של החזרת כל החטופים שלנו. לגבי ההמשך אנחנו כבר נדבר לאחר חזרתם.
מה שאני רואה בהסכם נכון לעכשיו, עשו אאוטסורסינג להסרת האיום, מסרו את זה לכוחות זרים, לא לכוחות הביטחון שלנו, לי אין אמון בכוחות האלה, ואני חושבת שזאת השאלה שראש הממשלה צריך להשיב עליה. האם ראש הממשלה ויתר על מטרת המלחמה הזו שחיילים רבים רפו למענה, ושבגללה קיבלנו את ה-7 באוקטובר, או שאנחנו חוזרים להילחם, חוזרים להשמיד את חמאס, חוזרים לפרד את עזה בכוחות עצמנו, מוודאים שאין שום איום מעזה כלפי ישראל. ככל שאנחנו נדע שאנחנו יכולים לוודא שמטרות המלחמה החשובות האלה מושגות, שהשגנו את המטרה של השבת החטופים